They all thought the wall was a joke. A Navy SEAL showing up in a quiet mountain valley, stacking stones like he was building a castle, while everyone else relied on plain timber the way they always had. People laughed from warm diner booths. They pointed from truck windows. They even made up nicknames for him. But then the cold rolled in, colder than anyone in Bitter Creek had felt in 50 years, and the laughter died fast. Because when the wind started screaming and the temperature fell like a trapdoor, every cabin in town began bleeding heat, except one. And the strangest part? The reason wasn't just the seal. It was his dog. The German shepherd that kept circling the walls like a sentry, finding the tiniest drafts before any human could feel them. By sunrise, the valley would learn a hard truth. The thing they mocked was the only thing standing between them and tragedy. Lucas Warren arrived in Bitter Creek, Colorado, on a morning so sharp it felt like the air could slice skin. The valley sat tucked between ridgelines like it had been forgotten on purpose. One narrow main street, weathered storefronts, and chimney smoke curling into a pale sky, as if the town was trying to look cozy despite how brutal the cold could get. Lucas carried a single duffel bag. Nothing flashy. Nothing that screamed, combat veteran. Just a man who looked like he wanted to disappear. But nobody missed the German shepherd at his side. Thor moved with a calm, deliberate precision. Head up, eyes scanning roofs and tree lines, pausing as if listening for danger that didn't exist here. Not in the way Lucas had known it, anyway. People in small towns notice details. And a dog like that wasn't a detail. It was a statement. Lucas's land was at the far edge of the valley, backed up to a dense stand of fir trees. By noon, he was working, not chatting, not introducing himself, not easing into the place the way newcomers usually did. He staked lines, hauled materials, and started stacking logs with the quiet rhythm of someone who'd learned to build under pressure. And then the real talk started, because he wasn't building like anyone else. Most cabins in Bitter Creek were simple. Single log walls, a standard stove, a routine everyone trusted because it had always been good enough. Lucas didn't do good enough. He built 2 log walls, parallel, leaving a wide gap between them, about 18 inches. And into that hollow space, he packed stone. Not decorative rock, real weight, rounded river stone, slabs of granite, flat pieces of slate pried from creek banks. He tested every stone for fit like he was assembling armor. And the strangest part was how Thor acted like a foreman, sniffing each section, circling the work, sometimes nudging a spot with his nose as if saying, "Not that one. Not like that." Lucas would adjust without a word. By the second day, the Bitter Creek Diner turned into a viewing gallery. Folks sat behind fogged windows with coffee mugs in hand, watching him like he was a live show. Good Lord, what's he trying to build out there? Tom Sanders, a rancher with a beard full of biscuit crumbs, muttered as he leaned toward the glass. Helen Ross, the diner owner, topped off mugs and tried to keep her voice neutral. "I heard he was Navy. Maybe he's used to bunkers." Tom snorted. "That ain't a bunker. That's a whole new flavor of crazy." The laughter wasn't vicious, but it had that small-town edge, curiosity mixed with judgment. Someone joked he was preparing for the end of the world. Someone else said the dog was clearly the brains of the operation. When Lucas drove into town for supplies, conversations dipped quiet, eyes tracked him, and nods came slow. Lucas didn't seem to care. He worked through damp sleeves and stinging wind, hands moving with practiced efficiency. Thor stayed close, occasionally pausing at a seam where cold air slipped through, and Lucas would seal it immediately. Mud, fiber, tighter joints, whatever it took. No hesitation, no second-guessing. Because to Lucas, this wasn't a quirky project. It was a rule of survival carved into him. Some cold stays with you, and has had a name and a place. The winter mountains overseas, where the temperature dropped faster than plans could adapt, where half his team never made it out, and where Thor, this same dog, had dragged him into a narrow crack in the rock. A pocket where the stone held warmth just long enough to keep a heartbeat going until rescue found them. Now, in Bitter Creek, Lucas wasn't chasing comfort. He was building a promise. One thick, heavy stone at a time. That evening, as the sun slid behind the firs and shadows stretched across the snow, Lucas stepped back to study the wall rising in front of his cabin frame. Thor sat beside him, ears alert, eyes fixed on the tree line. From somewhere across the open field, a voice carried on the wind, half joking, half sharp. Hey, Warren, you building a fortress for ghosts? Lucas didn't answer. Thor didn't flinch. They'd survived worse than laughter. And soon enough, Bitter Creek would learn why that wall looked ridiculous right up until the night it became the smartest thing anyone had ever built.